My previous video, we have drawn this beautiful mandala in a little bit of pitch pie style. So we have created these pitch pie lotus flowers. So let's add some colors. We're going to first start painting the lotus flower. Then we're going to add all the smallest details in this. I'm using a GSM 300 sheet for this, and for the colors I'm using acrylic colors by Fevicryl. Very peacefully, very slowly, we're going to color each and every petal of the lotus flower. We have created the outline with the permanent marker, which is waterproof. So this is how the lotus is going to look. Be careful, we don't need to put any extra color. So we are just highlighting the lotus flower as of now. Outline and then fill in the color. So you can see we are first filling color in the center petal. We're going to make this a very colorful mandala. Again, focusing on the primary color. We're going to add a lot of highlights with black also. We're going to color the background also, so we're going to keep a lot more portions white. Since this is the pattern that we have just thought about it, created it together, so we're going to add colors as in when we feel like, we're going to just keep on adding colors and seeing how we can make this better and better. I'm just using the tip of my brush to add the colors. Just make sure your paint do not seep out of the lines that you have created. We need a very thin coat of paint. So do you also like listening to music whenever you are painting or doing any creative work? Some soft music always helps. I'm just adding the shade of pink onto this. It's a salmon pink color. Since we have used a waterproof pen, so we are tension free that the paint is not going to get, the black line is not going to get smudged. And even when the paint dries up, the black line will be nicely visible. I'm really excited to paint the background. We're going to add some elements in the background while painting. So I'm going to give it a touch of blue, since these are the lotus flowers and they bloom in water. So I'm going to create that effect in the base. Shall I add more colors? Comment and let me know. Shall I add more colors to this? So this is the base that we have created with the beautiful lotus flowers. Now let's add some more details to the mandala itself. Center, I'm going to again color blue, which I'm going to create views in my background also. Let's create the background first before we add on any other color. To paint the background, I'm going to use a little thick brush so it makes it easier for me to paint. So I'm using a turquoise blue color. So I have added a good amount of water into this color, and let's paint the background. Carefully on the corner especially. We have to be careful on the corners. I'm using a flat brush. Go very slow. the help of a tissue, I'm just going to tap it on some portions to remove some paint. We want to create a faded look. So you can see the color is now come onto the tissue and it is giving it a little simple look. Now let's paint the rest of the sheet. First we need to give it a good coat of paint before we add into the details. We need to paint the entire thing first nicely, and then we are going to add the effect. We can give 2 coats of paint. We're giving a thick coat of paint right now, and after that, once it dries up nicely, we're going to give another thin layer, and then we are going to add on to the effect. Otherwise it will look patchy. We need to give 2 layers of paint. Work on the corners. Now be careful, especially on the corners. Once we are done with the first layer, we're going to do the next layer. So let me tilt my sheet and start painting the second layer. So I am using a GSM 300 sheet here. So you can see the reason I've used a broad brush, it becomes easier to paint big surface. But make sure before going with the next layer that your first layer is nicely dried up. Also, your paint should not be very watery, otherwise it will look patchy. If the surface is small, then the patches won't be visible too much. But when the surface is big, like in this one, the patches are clearly visible. So make sure your base is nicely painted. My throat is really bad. I'm still trying to speak as much as possible. Keep rotating your sheet. Also, always keep a rough sheet at the bottom, or a newspaper will also work, whatever is easily available. Go slow, especially on the corners. And here is the background look. You're going to see the final picture on my Instagram post. So stay tuned, keep watching. Thank you so much for joining this session. Anuva and Ananya, I have not received any message from you. I will try and search you out again on Instagram.